Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly video game podcast releasing every Thursday and Fridays now. I am your host, Alex Stadnick, and as always, I got two EICs in the building today. First, you know him, you love him, EIC Game Informer, Andrew Reiner. Hello, sir.
Hello. Yeah, we're going to take this on the road, the dueling EICs.
Oh, I like that. I would consume whatever content y'all put out because, we also have the one and only Kate Sánchez, the EIC and entertainment critic over at But Why Though, the founder of it too, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank
many
you for
hats.
having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. If y'all listened to the Far Cry podcast from last year, Kate was gracious enough to join us for that. And we were looking for an opportunity to get her back. And she's been reviewing the Halo show on her own. And we're like, this is a perfect match, especially with Shay and Alex doing their own things. So, Kate, do you want to tell our audience, or refresh our audience, right? You know, what is But Why Though? What do y'all do? What are you passionate about? That kind of stuff.
So But Why Though is an entertainment outlet built around uplifting marginalized voices and entertainment criticism. So we cover literally everything: comic books, anime, manga, TV, film, gaming, obviously. And my role there is I'm the EIC, obviously, but I kind of head up all of the film and television, and I do Rotten Tomatoes things, and I am a critic, I guess.
Approved critic. So if you go on Rotten Tomatoes right now, you can see her name on there. Yeah.
You can see how I have felt about all of the Halo episodes on there. So that's what I do. My passions, honestly, are reviewing anything in genre. So, I don't think genre film gets as much. Genre film and television don't get as much love as they need to. So I try to champion that and anime a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love it. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And let's get into it. This is the Halo review podcast that we were going the week 5 that we've been doing this. That's wild, Reiner. I can't believe we've been going at it for over than a month. But I have good news this week. Something finally happened that we can talk about and be excited about. Oh my goodness.
Let's call this episode 1 of the show.
This is where it starts.
I think it works.
Yeah.
What a great new show.
Yeah, I love it.
Just like Halo.
Before we launch in, if you're new to this, welcome. This is episode 1, apparently. We spoiled the whole episode. I'm going to go beat by beat, all the important stuff that happened. So, if you're new to it, go back. We have episode 1. We have a full playlist of all of our stuff. Go check it out, and then you can come back and listen. Last week felt like another step in the wrong direction, right? I guess before we launch into it, Kate, what is your overall impression of this series been?
Okay, so I got to watch 1 and 2 at South by Southwest. I actually got to talk to Pablo about playing Master Chief and kind of how he felt stepping into the role, how much he loved the character.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you could tell he had read some Reddit forums because he was very much like, guys, your Master Chief is valid. Please just let me tell this story.
Right.
And so I had a little bit of bias going in where sometimes you meet actors who just care so much about what they're doing and the person they're bringing to life and the franchise they're bringing to life that you can't not help but say, yeah, let's tell this new story. In episode 1, I was in. The battle sequence, great. Don't know how Paramount was like, yeah, sure, you can totally kill a bar full of kids. Don't know how that got past it, but it did.
Yep.
And it was really intense. And I have been okay with, the helmet removal because it makes sense when you're adapting something that is first person into a thing where you have to watch an actor act. And then 2, I was like, this is different than the first episode, but fine. And then 3 was like, I don't care about any of these plots. And then 4 was like, why are we still on a B plot? This doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You can take it out and I don't care. And actually talking with my husband, it was 5 was our make or break episode, right? I'm going to be stuck watching it and reviewing it for every episode.
Right.
But that was are we going to watch this together as a couple make or break thing? And it delivered. So yeah, it was very optimistic, into it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, what are we doing? And now I'm back to being into it.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. we said it off air too, but I was like, we've talked a lot of stuff, over the last couple of weeks, rightfully so, right? There's writing problems everywhere, and in episode 5 too, right? But just waiting for that moment to make it all worth it. And I really like the end sequence to this is so good. So
Yeah.
we'll get to it in a second though. But the episode starts, we left off. They finally found the second piece of the artifact. Soren and Kwan had escaped Madrigal, or the main city that they were in, right? And they're off. He's looking for his ship, or looking for a way off the planet, right? So it took its sweet time getting there, and then finally we start this episode with another flashback. I think almost all of them have started with flashbacks at this point. It's like, we get it. We know, we get it. Chief, mommy issues. Yeah, we get it. But Chief, Halsey is visiting this like utopian Reach for Life planet, right? She's looking around. These kids are up on a jungle gym, like crazy high up, like
dangerously high.
Who would let that happen? Like, oh my god.
Okay, I wanna walk you through this sequence real quick.
Yeah.
Alex. These kids are playing on these thin planks, holding onto these ropes, rocking it back and forth. One of them almost falls and dies. Chief, John, pulls the other kid up, incredible strength, pulls him up to safety. And then Halsey goes, "What do you think of our school?" It's like the next beat. And it's like, this place sucks. These children are going to die.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of nodding along like, yeah,
no, this
cool.
is great. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's just another moment of like, we understand their relationship, right? Like Halsey is the problematic mother to John, right? We get where that's going. So this scene is also important because then the camera pans a little bit and shows that one Jacob Keyes is also in on the tomfoolery of the Spartan program. So it's not just Halsey who has their hands dirty, which is one of the themes of the episode as we go on here. So we get through that sequence. In my head, I'm like, all right, here we go. How long is this going to take? Right. We come back to they're on Eridanus. It is what we talked about last week, where the other Spartans and Miranda have finally come, right? They brought the other piece of the artifact and they're like excavating and they're taking things over. And this is another opportunity to show off the Paramount budget of like the different of all the like the CG and like the they're like really taking over the planet in a
it's elaborate.
Yeah, very much so. And this is where, and I may be jumping ahead a little bit here because we'll get to Kwan and Soren, which thankfully there's not a ton of in this episode.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah. Chief finally meets up with I'm blanking on her name all of a sudden, Kai, and the rest of the Spartans, and they are both aware of the pellet pulling that they've both been doing, and
Kai isn't even like secretive about it. She shows up with pink hair.
And a smile.
Yeah, right. Her eyes are so huge. Like, Chief, are you seeing this? This is amazing. Like, are you kidding me? In just weird like interactions. But Chief basically says, "Nah, I'm sidelining you. You're not fit for duty."
He says you're grounded.
Yeah. Wags his finger at her. Yeah. And very hypocritical, right? Because he did the same thing, and he's feeling very similar emotions. What did you, Kate? We can start with you. Any thoughts on these scenes, the sequence, anything like that?
I mean, I think I don't like the way it's done, but I like what it does, right? Because like even Kai is like, what?
Right.
Why aren't you grounded? And then Cortana is like, you also haven't seen combat since you pulled that out. And it's one of those moments where it is very much where I don't think John necessarily realizes that how do I say it? He still feels like he is Chief, the Chief that there was before all of the emotions. And I think the show has actually done a fairly good job of like putting a partition between Chief and John. And I think right now, like that moment is where you first get the tastings of, okay, no, he wants to be both things and he's going to have to realize that he can't. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like the through line for the battle that happens. But like it could have been done better. But what it was trying to do was good.
Right. Yeah, Reiner, any thoughts on this sequence as well?
No, that's greatly broken down, and I, I just the way they frame things, the way they shoot it, the way they keep hitting the same notes, like just trying to remind you, like, hey, remember this that happened 30
Yeah.
minutes ago, and you're like,
Yeah,
yes, I
I
do.
do. Yeah,
There's not a lot going on in this show. It's annoying, I agree, but I do like where they're going with this. Like, I think they are finally getting to the kind of Master Chief that we know, from the games. I hope.
yeah. I in a big way towards the end, but
Yeah.
so that all happens. I think I'm jumping. I think we go back to Madrigal with Kwan and Soren at this point. And they are escaping the town. They're about 100 miles halfway to their destination, right? And their motorcycle breaks down. Thankfully, it's very quick. He handcuffs her to the broken down motorcycle, says, you owe me, basically. I'm gonna go find transportation and then I'm gonna make you a pirate. And Kwan is just not having it, and neither are we, because we move right on from it. And
Yep.
that, honestly, it's one of the strengths of the episode. Like, I feel bad constantly dunking on this, but like that storyline just does nothing for me
Yeah.
at all.
I completely agree. It's one of the things that I've been pretty focused on is like in almost every episode except for this one, you have at least 3 B plots or 2 B plots with the main plot going on at any given time, and none of them are actually given enough time to develop into something more or carry any
Yeah.
weight.
Right.
So when you're stuffing in characters, like there was a focus on an ensemble cast and wanted to do something different with Chief, but also do something different in general. And when they married those two, we've gotten into a space where it's just kind of like, one of your things is very interesting, the other is not. Maybe leave that for season 2.
Right.
Like that's how I've been feeling. And I was, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, it was Chief's first human moment, right? Like his
Mhm.
first emotional response to something, and he's kind of taken ownership of it. So I get why they're keeping it to a degree,
Mhm.
but that could just be we don't need to be following it beat to beat, beat by
Exactly.
beat through it. It just needs to be there to a
Yeah.
degree. Like he might revisit it. He
Yeah.
doesn't need to, right? Like we get what happened there, but
Right.
yeah, I guess we'll have to see if it adds up to
Yeah.
anything. But right now it's just looking like it's flying off in its own
And
direction.
it hurts because like I like Kwan. I really
Yeah, me
like
too.
that actress. I don't really care about Soren, but like I like Kwan a lot. And I think that she could have like a really great role in, because I mean they've already planned this show for, I think it's like 7 or 8 seasons is what they've talked about.
What? Really?
Yeah, well, yeah, so they planned with it for, like, years long.
Okay.
It's in, I think I have the interview up on YouTube, but they were talking about how, like, this was seen as a grand plan. Like,
Okay.
they want it to be something that will be here in years. So, obviously, I don't think, like, green lights have happened, but when the writers and the showrunners, like Kiki Wolfhard and, like, I forget the showrunners' names, they are trying to plan this out thinking for the future, and I think that that's actually to its detriment because it's trying to shove everything in at one time instead of just trusting what you can do
Right.
over time.
It's
Um
that's really interesting too, because we've talked
Yeah.
about it on the show too, where it's like this feels like when DC tried to catch up with Marvel, right? They're trying to shove
Mhm.
everything in, they're trying to like circumvent the process,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, you haven't established who Chief is yet. Like you haven't, like, we can't, these moments are unearned as far as those first episodes go.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like a lot of it, and the reason I bring it up, like in the context of this episode, is because I feel like this is the episode with, as much as I still don't think it trusts its audience with like the constant retelling of things that have already happened, I do think that it is trusting its audience to latch on to John and the character of Chief in a different way than it has in the past episodes, because I think the inclusion of Kwan a lot is done in the same way that a lot of video game movies make changes. They want somebody who nobody knows so that existing fans and new fans can have a person to latch onto in a similar way.
Right.
I just don't think they went about it in a very good way. And now I'm like, please get them off the screen. I want to go back to emotional damage, mommy issues, and fighting. That's what I want.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
And that's thankfully what this episode mostly focuses on, right?
Literally, you got your dream episode right here. So we go back to Eridanus. Chief is confiding in Keys because he trusts Keys. He's talking about how they've fought together, and Keys is like, "Yep, it's gonna be fine." And then meanwhile, he's like, "Don't tell me this stuff. I don't need to hear this stuff. Like, this is bad." And then he goes to they're still married, right? Keys and Halsey, are they separated? Is that ever made clear?
It's not really made clear.
Mhm.
There's tension.
Yep. There is tension. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he goes to Halsey and is like, Chief's remembering most of what's happening. Like, we need to do something about this. And she's like, nah, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And then they talk about Miranda is also on the planet, right? And he's like, we gotta get Miranda out of here. Like, we gotta keep her clean. And she's like, to Kate's point, she's like, yeah, it's the first parenting decision we agree on. Like, so there's the familial drama for you. But there is something interesting that I like in this that I didn't anticipate, and that it becomes clear in this episode that Halsey is somewhat aware of what they're looking for. It feels like she's aware of Halo as a weapon, right? An interesting turn is that it feels like not even feels like, she wants to use the weapon to beat the Covenant, which I actually like. I like kind of the mad scientist angle for her. I think that's one of the only changes in this. I've been like, okay, let's see where this goes. So, and that's kind of revealed in this sequence, I think.
Trying to tie it all together through a little boy is the key to all this. I can't do it, but whatever, you know, like, it's storytelling.
Right.
It's American myth making. It has to be a chosen one.
True. Very true.
Good thing you made all those drawings.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And made sure he buried him.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Oh, I love you, Ryder. Anyways, so we're gonna go. This is out of sequence a little bit, but they finally penetrate through whatever protective shell is on the artifact. Meanwhile, that sends a huge sonic boom, like Clone Wars Episode 2 level of like just type of thing, you know.
Why did that happen? Was it because the other site, the Covenant?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask. I was like, I didn't think that like they had actually broken through. I thought
she did something,
Homegirl,
right?
Blessed One, whatever her name is. I thought like they did something on their end because she was like, no, there's a remnant of, or like there's a signature of it here. It can lead us to it. And so I thought they called it.
Interesting.
And then that's what shattered the glass.
Because I thought it was there was a laser that they were pushing through the casing that I thought it hit like far enough that it
I may have
we were going back and forth.
Right.
We were going back and forth. Like Covenant was doing, so she was like touching the rocks and stuff.
Almost like they're not good with non-linear storytelling.
Oh. This is why I'm happy you're on this. Yeah. So Makee and the Covenant are alerted where the other part of the artifact is. The artifact, the larger piece of it is broken open. Chaos is ensuing. We quickly go. I'm just going to go over this real quick. We quickly go back to Madrigal and Kwan having a bad day. She's trying to unleash herself, right? She finally gets herself unlocked from the bike and runs away, or so we think. Shh, spoiler. But then we finally come back. Chief is tweaking, you know, John is upset. He's like, what is going on? We have some more good Cortana and Chief dialogue. I love it. Please keep giving me more. That's what this show needs to be.
It's the best part of the show, to be honest. Like they're bickering, they're like chemistry together. That's what is good.
Yeah. And it's hard too though, because like it's so like it comes in spurts, right? It's not like this constant thing because you keep cutting away to other characters. And it's like, no. Like you have what makes Halo right there. Like, please keep like diving into that. And there's been a refusal of that so far. But Jen Taylor is undefeated. Like she's fantastic. And I do think Pablo does his best stuff when he's talking to her and they're interacting. So he's trying to find records on the Spartans. It's not working. And he eventually says, screw it, I'm going to look for myself, basically. So he goes and touches the artifact. He has the full vision of the kidnapping, the body switching of the clone, right? And that it is none other than Halsey who kidnapped him. And then Reiner, like we called last week, baby. They have their confrontation, and he winds up. He's like, "I'm gonna punch her."
That made me so happy. I was like, please,
Get her.
like this is the accurate response to finding out that the woman who is pretended to be your mother is actually the reason you have no mother.
Yeah.
Like,
I love his response. I don't know what he was doing. Was he trying to dunk a basketball? He's like flying through the air.
It's NBA playoffs, man. Everyone's feeling it, you know?
Like, Chief, you don't have the ball, man. And then he goes down.
Yeah, because Cortana.
Which I actually thought that sequence was really good outside of the weird, like, anatomy of it. Yeah. I actually thought, like, so what I really like is that Cortana is obviously building a rapport with Chief, and that's some of the meaty goodness that the show offers. But I like that it reminds you that Cortana is not autonomous. Like, she is a tool used to control him.
Right.
And so just the way he just falls, like that sequence was very good. And I was like, please, this is the sci-fi I want.
Right. Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
I love that sequence.
Yeah. And then he wakes back up. I think let me see if I missed anything. Nope, that looks right. So then the fun starts, and I am so happy to say that this end sequence is, when I pictured a Halo show, this was kind of it. When I was daydreaming about like the Neil Blomkamp shorts and stuff like that, it's like, oh, here we go. The Covenant arrives on Eridanus, and we go game 7. Like, it is like the Banshees are bombing, like, you know,
there were grunts.
Oh,
there were little grunts.
There was jackals that were actually intimidating. And that's the thing why I haven't given up hope on the show yet. When we've seen the Covenant in action, it has been like, they are intimidating. They are a force to be reckoned with. They look good for the most part. Some shoddy CGI here and there. It is what it is. And it comes in full effect here, where the Covenant is now like, we're playing ball. We know that the artifact's here, and we're going into it. And I'm curious what y'all's favorite moment is, because for me, the moment where I like got big-eyed, I was like, oh, like, let's go, was when they were driving the Warthog into the battlefield, and the normal like Marine was on the turret, right? And he like got like 4 or 5 needles in his chest. And he's like, oh, and then he explodes in this like dust. I was like, oh, all right, this is what we're doing. Okay, let's go. Yeah, it was.
There's 3 great moments with the Warthog. I'll point out that the other one where the Chief takes over, and then his Spartans come running alongside it, like
it was so
running like
cool.
Flash.
Right.
That's number 2. And then the other one where another human's just riding the Warthog, where the Grunt takes over. And I guess Chief comes up on it. Then.
Right. Yeah.
Like, Grunt's not in command of that vehicle for like 2 seconds before Chief's on it, and just like filling them full of lead.
Yeah. It was
those
like
3 moments are incredible.
It was the Joker sequence from Dark Knight. He's like, excuse me, I want to drive.
I think my favorite one is actually when he's running on, his primary runs out, and Cortana says, switch to your secondary. And he goes, I know how to play the game. And I don't know why, but I got so excited.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, so this is what made me so excited with episode 1, was that there shows a competency and understanding of Halo gameplay when they do these action sequences, whether it's because they're showcasing the sniper, the shotgun, the variances in Covenant weapons versus UNSC. I always get the acronym wrong. Whatever weapons, like, it shows that it knows what it can do. And I think that that's why the past few episodes have been so disappointing, because like, there is an understanding of Halo here. And regardless of what headlines say, like, Kiki Wolfhard has dedicated so much of her life to writing Halo. Mm-hmm. And she was very integral with mapping out this series. And so I think that like, that's like, those little moments that like anybody who hasn't played Halo watching is like, oh yeah, that's cool. But people who have played Halo are like, that's a grunt. That's like, you actually made him explode. Like, all of these pieces that just sing together really, really well.
Yeah.
And it just makes me happy. Also, like, I love shotgun. So like the entire shotgun, like just running through and just shotgunning grunt or Covenant left and right, jackals. Mm-hmm. It was awesome, man.
Yeah. Like, I was blown away by it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I thought the framing of the shots was really good.
Yeah,
we had just the number of Covenants out there. Too many shots of the Banshee buzzing the tower, but every time they showed Halsey up there, it was like, oh, here comes a Banshee.
Yep.
Flying overhead.
Yep.
But other than that, I thought all those sequences were exciting, powerful. Yeah, I thought it was great.
I was really surprised by the editing too. Like for a high CG like action sequence, there weren't too many jump cuts to make it kind of give you that woozy feeling, which is always my issue with action, especially because I watch a lot of East Asian film. But like they nailed it here, and I think that it. Just give me more of this, please.
Yeah.
Oh, also when John's holding on to the Banshee and crashes it.
So good. Oh my God. Yes.
And although I did laugh when Kai reached out and was like, get behind me, and just like probably broke that soldier's neck when she threw him into the rock.
Right.
But,
yeah. Because that's it is separated by those two moments, right, that you pointed out, Kate, where it's like it's the initial attack, things are not going well. And I have a point I'll get to in a second, but then Chief sees that Kai is struggling, right? She's being overwhelmed in her respective area, and decides instead of going to get the artifact, because that's what they're doing. The Spartan Silver Team is trying to get the artifact that was lost in one of the explosions, right? He decides, no, she's part of the team. Like, I have to go save her, and that's when he goes Iron Man, basically. And that's what I love about this sequence is like we finally get a real taste of what the Spartans are capable of. Like episode 1 was the appetizer, right? But the sequence, like Reiner pointed out, when the Spartans are running by the Warthog, Chief jumping on the Banshee, right? You get this sense of power that hasn't been there yet. And then on top of that, Chief has his moment where he just goes like Michael Jordan, right? He just like sees red and pops off and takes down the army himself, basically in an amazingly choreographed set piece. And like we had shotgun, right? We had jackals with energy swords, like, you know what I mean? And he just takes them all to pieces, and it was so good, and in a way that I wasn't expecting at this point. Like they needed to prove to me that they understood what this world is now, and at least in the action, I think they really, really do get that. So.
And then the tease for the next showdown,
with a brute
up there, with the hammer.
Wasn't expecting that at all.
When he popped out, like I was like, oh, there he is. That's a big boy. What's about to happen? Boy, yeah. And this is another piece of dialogue that I loved, where like Chief tells Cortana, I need a weapon, and she's like, I don't think that'll help.
yeah. It was that nice like nod to the past, and then like Cortana being Cortana. I loved it. Because at this point, there's been we think we lose Miranda in the battle. No, she's saved. And then I'm trying to think if we missed anything else. Just the moment of like Saving Private Ryan Normandy Beach scene with the jackal like pulling himself out, and then like his lower half is gone. I was like, we're really going
that
for
was
like
really good.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, this is casualty of war right here. Good Lord.
And the curb stomp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just how Chief looked at the end of it, just blood stained on his
armor.
I
was so happy that was the picture that Paramount sent out to use for like reviews and stuff. I was like, yes, this is it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's my man.
Yeah.
I loved the butt in episode 3, but like this is what I want.
Right.
So
yeah, we didn't get a butt this episode. It's the first episode without butt.
Yep.
Bummer. I'm sure that'll be all. It'll just be naked people the entire next episode.
Yeah. We need 2 next episode.
Yeah. So in his rage, because there's a moment where he loses control, right? He embraces the anger and caves in Elite's face in, but loses an opportunity to grab the Ark. He has saved Kai, but the Ark gets taken by our new brute friend, and the implication there is he probably would have had it if he didn't give in to his more human instincts. So that'll be an interesting plot point going forward. The last thing we see in this beautiful set piece was a pod being jettisoned out of the Covenant ship, the Covenant fire on it, right? And we finally get the moment Reiner's been waiting for. Makee finally makes contact with Master Chief, and now the chessboard is set, and we're gonna see what happens here.
You know what's gonna happen. They're gonna fall in love. opposing forces, both of them taken from their families. They're gonna
Romeo and Juliet. I love it. Can't wait.
Yeah.
As a Cortana and Chief shipper, I don't want it.
You know what's gonna happen.
I know it's gonna happen. I don't want to know.
She's here.
Yeah. So I will say I am very happy that she is now, they are in the same piece, because I don't have to go to her plot anymore. It is now in the main story.
Yes.
If we could just either let Kwan go freedom fight on her own and not jump to it, or just bring her back, just make a choice. And I think that that's like one of the things that's been really hard for me, is I actually think all the stuff that they're doing with Master Chief himself and exploring like morality and emotion and like all of this stuff, like the humanity that comes with things, is really interesting. It's the most interesting part of the show. And I'm hoping that this was a push towards that. Although I feel like next episode, I think is going to be a letdown, because I think we're going to get magical stuff.
I was about to ask.
Don't want. Which just sucks, because I think there's a good show in all of this. I just think it's a supercut of just Master Chief.
Right. I really wish this season was 5 episodes. You put, take the Kwan stuff, right? Put it on YouTube, right? All the companies are looking for cross promotional stuff, right?
Yeah.
You go bump the YouTube page, you bump social with Kwan's story. It's going to tie in eventually. It'll be great.
AMC did it with the Walking Dead stuff.
There's plenty of stuff you could do with it, but I'm in my soul, I'm afraid you're right that it's going to be like 30 minutes spent on Madrigal and like Soren, like, because that was the end of that storyline, right? Kwan was waiting in the sand. She knocks.
What was she doing?
She was a snake, man. She got him. She was waiting.
But how do you do that?
Her decisions make no sense. Like, this is what bugs me about her character. Because in the beginning, she has the potential to be such a good character. She is a character who has been through trauma, who has decided, well, you know what? I can't undo the trauma, but I can at least make sure that the stuff I went through isn't for nothing. And then she just gets whiny and and annoying, and then makes decisions that don't really make sense with the overall stuff. Like, it really feels like she moved from being a logical character with a purpose to care, like, to a child.
Filler.
Which, I mean, she is, but like, there's a difference as a child who's been through trauma and working towards a goal, and then just a petulant child, which is what I feel she has become over the past 2 episodes. And it hurts my heart, because I want to like her so much.
Right.
They set her up as kind of like she could have been, there with Chief, rise up, let's go, let's do this. I'm going to be the human element to your superhuman element, right? And they've completely washed that away. Like the second they got on that asteroid and she's looking, it just started fizzling out.
There could have been a pilot role like in Halo Infinite, right? Where it is the like, oh snap, what's happening person. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on with that? And obviously as a creative, you want to form your own lane, right? But I really wish. That's why 5 was such a good episode, is because it's so focused on what we feel like is building towards the future, and that is getting to the ring. That is everything. It's the name of the show. So.
Yeah, and I think that it's too is like a lot of the extra stuff that we've gotten with Halo hasn't really been Master Chief focused, and so I think when they chose to do a story with Chief, like it should have been Chief's story,
right?
And that's just what bugs me, because like I'm not here for gaming purity tests that happen all the times with live action stuff. It's gonna change. It's a different medium. But if you're going to make a choice to go very much one way, you need to make sure you commit and keep going forward. And I feel like it undercuts itself consistently across the board. And I want more of episode 5, because even when stuff was done not that great, it was still moving towards one point. And I think that that's where its strength is.
Yeah. Best episode though, right? Like we're on the right trajectory. Let's just keep going that direction.
Yes. Best episode by a considerable margin. Scared for next episode, right? But like we're still going in the right direction. Any parting thoughts before we sign off, Reiner? Are you feeling good?
Yeah, I'm going to make my prediction for next episode.
Oh, here, Leo, let's get it.
That John and what's her name? Makee?
I say Makee. Yeah, one's corrected me yet. So
it's Makee. So
yeah,
Makee.
Makee.
Yeah,
Makee?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find out.
The blessed one.
The blessed one. Bless up.
They're going to be tasting foods for the first time, and it's going to be this fun montage where they're going to be trying like French fries and all this stuff for the first time, and then it's going to end with like whipped cream on Chief's nose, you know.
Or like is the Beach Boys
gonna, like,
playing in the background? Like, wouldn't it be nice if we were? Yeah. I can't wait. I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where they're really going to bond. Is going to be over some food.
It becomes 51st dates. I can't wait.
No.
Oh, yeah, Kate. Any parting thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
she's still, you know, like working from the inside. She's gonna take them all down. Yeah, she likes this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want any of that. I just want them to consolidate everything. We've seen the consolidation happen with Kai's storyline, Miranda's, pretty much everybody outside of Soren and Kwan have been brought back into this main storyline to push through to the end of the series. And since we're past the halfway point now, that's what I'm hoping. So if we do get 30 minutes of magical, like I think we will, I hope that what is happening is it is 30 minutes of magical that puts them back into the main story. And I think so long as they close that loop, I could be okay with magical heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's under that like asterisk of must come back to the main group. And if that doesn't happen, like I'm obviously I have to stick with the show, but
Right.
like
Yeah.
I'm in I'm in an amazing high, but I'm also worried because I know what we just got for the past like 3 episodes.
Right.
So I'm hoping now though, since they've kind of opened the battle genie or took the battle genie out of the bottle, that they focus again on doing those large standoffs and get more action sci-fi.
Right.
I think that's going to be episode 7. My real take on this is I think Makee is going to take the other piece of the artifact. She's going to go off. There'll be a chase. You know, she's going to trick John. She's going to bond with John.
Right.
She's going to get her hands on the artifact, and then she's going to go. And then there'll be another big battle in 7. To try to get it back.
Yeah. I think my prediction still stands where like the last shot of this season is going to be Halo. Like they're going to chase they're going to chase the Covenant into a rift. And then we'll get, you know, the sequence from Halo 1, right? Where it's like, we just made the jump from Reach. Like, I know some people have predicted like glassing of Reach yet. I don't think that's earned yet, but maybe so. Good stuff. Kate, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have anything you want to plug? The floor is yours. So.
Oh yeah. So you should go read my website because we're great and we do weekly coverage of a lot of TV shows. Right now, our big ones are Moon Knight and Halo, obviously, with a whole bunch of episodic anime coverage. You can get everything from us, and that is going to be butwhythopodcast.com, BUTWHYTHO. That's how you spell it. And then you can follow me on Twitter at @OhMyMythRandier. I am freelancing more, so I'm writing at a couple different places now too. It's a lot of rantings and quite a bit of nonsense, but you will get some, I think, fine pop culture takes along the way too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and we have an active Discord community, discord.gg/butwhytho. We talk about movies and TV, literally everything in pop culture. We have a whole bunch of active channels, a lot of like really open debates, and just a real cool place with cool folks.
Cool. One of the best in the business, folks. You don't want to miss it. So, Kate, thank you so much. Reiner, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Viewers, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please let us know what you're liking, disliking about the format. We're enjoying this is some of the favorite parts of our week is getting to talk about this silly show. So, thank you. Be good to one another, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.